Hey guys, Lytane here, and this is my spoiler review for Slender Man. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is going to be full of spoilers about the movie, and if you want to see the movie, even though I don't recommend it, see it before you watch this, then you won't get spoiled, so yeah. In the spoiler-free part of this review, I talked about how inconsistent Slender Man was, and I want to go into a little bit more detail here. Now, one of the big missed opportunities is that Slender Man can affect electronics. That is something that is established in lots of the canon and lots of the things surrounding Slender Man. He affects pictures, he affects movies, he affects filming of him. And there's one point in the film where they get to see all like different people interacting with Slender Man online that they didn't use this. They didn't set up that he can affect electronics. I'm like, this was the perfect opportunity. It's somebody else filming with some found footage style of editing. I'm like, they could have easily added some like static and some sounds and some jumps and all that kinds of stuff in order to show Slender Man affecting like electronics. Because later on in the film, they get a phone call from an unknown number because, you know, he can call people and stuff like that, I guess. And he calls them up and it becomes static on the phone. And then he comes. Now, it's not really established before this that he uses static because before that he just sort of turns up or we hear a bell. So that's why I was really confused why now all of a sudden he can use static and he can get into people's heads that way. I thought it was really dumb. Slender Man throughout the whole film has so many close encounters with the main girls, and he does random things every single time. I had no idea why he was doing anything. The end of the film, in fact, has him taking the last girl and then just consuming her into a tree. I don't get it. Why? Does he do that to all the girls? Also, in order to lure the final girl out to him, he uses like a phantom image of the first girl that goes missing, which I was like, he didn't do that at any point throughout the movie. How come he can do it now? Also, is she working with him? Did he, like, you know, promise her, oh, you can come outside and play if you lure another person towards me? Or is it actually him? Once again, I have no idea. And because of this inconsistency, I had no fear for this monster. I had no idea why people were afraid of him either. The fact that the second main girl, Ren, played by Jodie King, who's the only like good actress in this, she is actually studying Slender Man and trying to figure out how to stop him and all that kind of stuff, and she does a good job in that regard. She becomes a little bit obsessive, which is fine, but I was like, she has so many good ideas and then everybody else just sort of doesn't listen to her. When they summon Slender Man, she's like, don't look at him. So what do? They all look at him. Then when she's like, he can get into your head and do all this kinds of stuff, nobody believes her. Then she's like, have you seen Slender Man around? They all go, no, don't know what you're talking about. Like, why? You're clearly all being affected, and everybody knows that. She even calls him out on it, saying like, you have been affected. And they're like, no, I swear I haven't. It was so dumb, and it was so padding. The main girl was such a bad actress. She just had this weird bitch face on the entire movie. There's also plot threads that go nowhere. For some reason, like halfway through the movie when they go to summon Slender Man, Ren makes a comment to Hallie saying, oh, look, you have to give up something that you love in order to summon Slender Man for some reason. And she gives up I think a blanket that her grandmother gave her, and she's like, oh, I'm surprised it's not a track and field medal, because she's good at track and field and she gets medals, and I guess the other girl's jealous, but that never goes anywhere. You never actually see this girl even run once in the, oh no, you do see her run away, but you don't, there's no payoff to this. Later on in the film, they make another comment about it. I'm like, okay, is there some tension here between these two people about it? Apparently there is, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's not set up, it's not executed well, and it has no payoff. I was expecting, because she's star of the track and she can run really fast, that she would be running away from Slender Man more effectively than the other girls, and it would be a plot point of some kind, but no. This movie doesn't have a cohesive plot. The general idea is that Slender Man is stalking them in order to pick them off, one at a time, but why? There's no reason given. The fact that he's only stalking them because they watched a freaking YouTube video, that is such a dumb idea. The synopsis on the film, when you go onto IMDb, says a group of kids that don't believe in Slender Man start getting picked off one at a time, so then they start to believe. That is so much better than the actual movie that we got, which is a bunch of girls that watch a YouTube video and now they're getting picked off by Slender Man. Honestly, there was so much here that they could have used, and they could have done so much good things with, that they just failed. The start of the movie should have had the main girls, maybe having some weird, sounds or whatever, and things like that. It should have had Slender Man in the background, not even the focus of the first, act of the movie. He should have just been around. And then the first act should have ended with one of the girls going missing. Maybe you could have it a little bit before that, but one of the girls goes missing, and now we know that Slender Man is taking these girls. Then the second act is them trying to figure out what Slender Man is and stuff, and he's still in the background, he's still menacing, he's still, affecting them, and they're getting more paranoid, and they're becoming maybe weird and sickly, or they're not getting any sleep, maybe they're having hallucinations or something like that. And then the third act of the film has two of the girls gone, maybe two left, maybe just the one, and they have to put a stop to him, and in the end they all disappear. They all give up themselves in order to stop Slender Man from spreading to other kids. That basic simple plot line would work, because he is not the focus. It is the girls. He is not trying to actively take them. He's just sort of there trying to lure them towards him, just in the background. The fact that this movie has so many points where he's in the background being scary, then they fucking focus on him. That is not what you do. It is not an in-your-face kind of bad guy. He's supposed to be menacing, and this movie totally dropped the ball. Though, this movie did have one of the funniest scenes I have ever seen in a movie at all. At one point in the film, the main girl, Hallie, is making out with this guy named Tom, and no joke, he just starts going crazy, blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny. It is the most ridiculous effect. It made no sense. Slender Man, I guess, can possess people and make them hallucinate a little bit. I don't know, because once again, his powers aren't well defined. And it goes on for maybe 30 seconds to a minute of him just wigging out, and then it cuts to her going, "Ugh," and then it cuts back to him. The entire cinema, packed cinema, was laughing their heads off. And this is supposed to be one of the scary parts of the film. The whole cinema was laughing. I pissed myself laughing as well. Even after the scene where it's supposed to be tense and scary because she's dealing with what she just saw, people were still laughing in the audience. And I'm like, this I don't think was meant to be funny. It was meant to be scary, but it just came off so poorly. Honestly, it was the funniest scene of the film, and I would rewatch the film just for that one scene, but the rest of the film, you can give it a skip. It's really, really bad. It's not scary. They have so many missed opportunities. The ending of the film just makes no sense, and it just sort of ends. It's also, like I said, very inconsistent. When the main girls watch the film, it takes a week before Slender Man starts affecting them, but when another guy watches the film, it happens instantly. When the little sister watches the film, it happens instantly, and she becomes more crazy than the other girls, even though the other girls have seen Slender Man. RANT, for some reason, gives up the little sister for literally no reason. She's like, "Oh, Slender Man made me do it." How? That happened off screen. Also, when the first girl goes missing, it doesn't even make any sense. She's staring off into the woods, and she's getting this weird creepy vibe from the woods, and she's sort of been in, it's been a week after Slender Man sort of did his thing, so it's okay. So she's staring off into the woods, and then it has a pan up to the sky where the clouds disappear, and then suddenly it cuts back, and everybody's just sort of sitting around the graveyard, which they were going to for school, I guess, and she's gone. So she's standing here, her friends are maybe a couple meters away. She stares off into the forest for 30 seconds, and then suddenly she's gone and no one knows where she went. The forest is 100 meters away. So she would have had to walk off 100 meters in order to get there, whilst all of the kids and the teacher did not notice, in a very open graveyard. It's not like it's crowded, it's not like inside the forest, no. There is a big gap in between her and this forest that she has to go away to. Maybe Slender Man teleported her, but we don't see that. We don't know what happened or anything like that. Then suddenly this is this weird transition effect, and now she's missing, and for the rest of the movie the main girls are trying to find her. So dumb. Why? It's so poor. I don't know why. Hollywood just screws things up like this. There are so many scenes that are just dumb, so many things that go nowhere. For some reason, Ren loses her face at one point. For some reason, Chloe goes insane for no reason, and like she doesn't even have an ending. Does she get taken by Slender Man as well? What happened to the little sister? Is she gonna go crazy? Is she gonna be taken by Slender Man? We'll never know. What about Tom, the boy that said he didn't watch the film, but then he's got bruises on his arm? Slender Man hasn't bruised anybody else except no, he hasn't bruised anybody else, but suddenly he has bruises. What's up with that? Slender Man is not terribly hard to do. He's just supposed to be around, be scary, and then focus on the humans. Why couldn't Hollywood do that? Maybe it's because of the whole thing, like some girls did the Slender Man stabbing like 4 years ago, which affected the movie because like the guy was doing an outcry or something like that, which like, I get it, dude. These kids did some stupid things in the name of Slender Man, but troubled people will use an outlet regardless of what it is. It might have been Slender Man, it could have been vampires, it could have just been a kitten that they saw and they decided to, kill for the kitten. If disturbed people want to do something, they will do something. And I think his involvement might have affected the film because there are scenes in the trailer which are not in the main film, which such as Chloe trying to stab herself in the eye, or another plot thread which I think is dropped which there's this one lady that's online which they're chatting to. I think her name's like Alley Cat 64 or something like that, and she was one of the older victims of Slender Man that's still around, and she's like talking to other people about Slender Man. Nothing happens with her. She just sort of says, yeah, Slender Man's now on your tail, and she gives a couple of hints at the beginning of the film and then just disappears. She just literally logs off. Does she get taken? Is she like instigating Slender Man? It's hinted towards the end of the film that people that get the virus of Slender Man want to spread it unconditionally, like uncontrollably. They just spread it, and that's sort of the case of the film, I guess. Maybe this girl was following up on that. I don't know. And it looked like in the trailer, it looked like that girl was walking out of the forest with like hands covered in blood, or sorry, something in her hands, and she had blood and dirt in her, and it was like really weird. I think that was her backstory that they cut out of the film. I don't know. This movie's a mess. It's a piece of crap. Don't go and see it. And maybe watch Marble Hornets. That's pretty good. Watch that instead. But give Slender Man a miss. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.